like, so I gave them my record, my unreleased record, and then like time went by, and like now we're at the point where they're gonna come see a show. That's what's happening. So that's like they can't like seal the deal. So it's not like the offer's out of the question.
No, they're probably still gonna get an offer.
Yeah, they probably will.
Well,
but they don't want to do it until they see a fucking show. So we're trying to book this CD release show.
Yeah.
And have both bands on the bill.
I know. I don't want to be the weirdo that tells you to turn down Atlantic, but like I feel like you should be the weirdo.
No. That's not weird at all. So I'm talking to this guy Jaron, who is managing this younger kid, Sam Barber, who's kind of in the same spot as me, blew up on TikTok and shit. Yeah. And Jaron doesn't know anything about music. He just saw that Sam had a shit deal. And was like, dude, don't take that deal. Like, I'll invest in you. And then next thing you know, like they invested in each other. And then another song of Sam's blew up on TikTok. Atlantic offered them a deal. The lawyer wanted them to sign. They said no. The lawyer said it was like one of the best deals he ever saw. And then Jaron said it was laughable. So apparently the lawyers, you got to watch out, obviously, for them too. And then so they denied Atlantic, and then.
Well, the lawyers get kicked back on the deal, so they just want to make the deal.
And then Zach Bryan's team reached out to them. They denied Zach Bryan's. Zach Bryan offered them millions up front, but only to own 20% of their music for like the rest of their life. And so they denied that.
I would deny that.
And then went back to Atlantic. And then Atlantic gave them a second offer, and then they took that, which was like less money up front, but they own more of their music. And I actually don't know the numbers that they took, but so that's the whole fucking dance.
Yeah.
You know, it's a dance. Yeah,
totally.
So, like, getting an offer would be great as a starting point, because then you can be like, well, you know, I mean, there's this.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard of I'm pretty sure, like, I don't know Ron Gallo personally, but I know the guy that's drumming with him right now, Josh Aaron, really well. I've known him for years. And he told me that he's like, that situation was similar for him, and he had like offers from like Atlantic and Warner, and he was like, yeah, but they like wanted a lot more ownership than some of the smaller ones. And he's like, I feel like I play the same fest bills, I sell the same amount of records, and I have a little more rights to my music, and I kind of don't pigeonhole my ass as much.
Exactly.
Like so, like that's like my only suggestion, just because like we're all artists and we've like done this, and like I know you probably want to like retain the ability to do what you want.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. Yeah.
Like. Take it when it comes, but like I know the one band I know that's signed to Atlantic, the Unlikely Candidates, like they are clearly a band that's signed to Atlantic. Yeah, like you could tell. Yeah, like and like Ron and like some of the other people, like I feel like they get to retain like more of their rights, even though they still have like a record deal.
Totally.
Like you still have a record deal. Like you're not running everything on your own. Like somebody owns some of your shit. Yeah. Like it's a much better relationship.
Exactly. That's like, and dude, I tell you what.
And even though I got turned down by 2 of those record labels, I still highly recommend them. They said they're gonna re-review us next year. They're like, we're not taking anyone right now. So again, the offer's not off the table.
We'll have the album out then.
Yeah.
What's cool is that what you're doing when you talk to them is even if they said no, like they might have liked working with you and talking with you.
As far as I'm concerned, the fact that I've had 3 no's this year is way better than the 8 years I had no contact.
Exactly, dude. Exactly.
I'm like, whatever, dude. They said no this year.
They know who I am.
Like,
they know who you are.
Yeah.
And dude, half the battle is just it really is who you know, and fucking like what Ian always says is that like, dude, like whoever label you're working with or manager or booking agent, like you're gonna be talking to them every fucking day about your music and what you're doing. So like if you don't get along with them, if you don't gel with them as a person, it's not gonna work.
100%.
So like that too, along with the ownership of music and everything, like you want to think about just like life
after
that. Yeah, it's not just about the $1 million you got offered up front. It goes way beyond that. Yeah. So
100%.
That's tricky shit.
Are we doing it?
Are we doing it? Is it recording?
Yeah, it's been doing it.
Sick. What's up?
Last 5 minutes. Van Brain.
There's
probably a reasonable amount of that we can use. I'll cut in after the.
I apologize for my throaty voice. I was at the Sixers game.
Oh shit!
I'm sure you guys like aren't even Sixers fans.
Dude, no, but yeah, you're hardcore Phillies fan.
Did they win, son?
They did win by 1 point in overtime.
Whoa! That had to have been fun.
Yeah, overtime was quite the game.
That was quite the game.
Oh, that's what you want.
It was wild.
And by 1 point, that doesn't happen.
That's why I have a very limited voice right now.
Dude, that's awesome.
So
That's awesome.
We got James Daniels here on the podcast. You'll know him from the drummer/vocalist of Chestnut Grove.
Yes, sir.
And he's recently started dabbling booking stuff too. I don't know how much of that you want to talk about, but leaving it open to Mr. James Daniels is joining us on the pod.
On the pod, Van Brain.
Van Brain.
Well, it's good to be here, hanging out by this awesome backdrop.
Hell yeah.
Well, you've been here before too.
I have been here before. Last time it was smokier and filled with people.
Yeah, we played
After
at
a show.
Tellus
Yeah.
360 here in
Yeah.
Lancaster.
On a Thursday.
Yeah.
Thursday.
That was a good show for a Thursday night.
That was a
Not
great
bad.
Thursday night show.
I don't know if you guys remember that, but that show was supposed to only go till like 10:30.
Yeah.
Do you remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
And I somehow messed up the time thing, and it was like we didn't wrap up until like midnight. Or
Yeah.
like
I
midnight
recall
30.
that. Yeah.
Yes.
And I was glad about it.
Yeah.
I left my bowl at that show. We actually got I got a phantom text from the sound guy. I guess he had my number from the contact info.
Yeah.
We leave them for the show and everything.
They're like,
And
we'll save it for you.
I got a text to be like, did anyone leave a bowl behind? And I go check my bag. I'm like, oh yeah,
Son
that was
of a
me.
bitch.
I saw him like a month later at Phantom Power. I was like, it's yours now. You can keep it. He's like, I did. I cleaned it.
Nice.
Oh, you cleaned it. That's great.
Yeah, at
I
a
love
certain
it.
point, that bowl is no longer yours. It's like
it's
like a girlfriend.
Yeah,
Dude.
If I could afford it, I said this as a joke. I was like, if I could, I would just buy one everywhere I went and leave it at the venue as a gift.
Yeah. Smoked
funny.
by James Daniels.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it back there.
Tellus 360 must be a place people lose things because I left, or that people leave things because I left a tambourine stand there for like 6 months.
It was still there when you went to get
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody found it and, put it in the back. And it was before they were like a bar. If you remember, they were kind of like a little like reuse it shop sort of
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
Oh, you're talking way back.
Oh, yeah.
Is that when
Yeah.
the tambourine left the
District
Medusa's
days.
Disco sound?
It is.
Because you just left it someplace or something?
I left it someplace and
That's so
I
funny.
replaced it for all that time.
Yeah.
And it didn't sound bad. So
Yeah.
I was just like, ah!
There's like whole songs on the albums
That
where the
use tambourine?
It just doesn't. It's just like, I left that in a place. I guess
That's
I
most
just don't love it
such a
forever the
drummer
rest of
thing.
the time. No longer.
That's all right. That's how I operate. I've had gear that I'm like, oh, I'll use that forever. Probably. Like I used to have 2 crash cymbals, and then I just broke that cymbal stand.
Yeah, right.
And recently, I just got another cymbal stand, but for 2 years, I was like, just one crash.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, different stylistic thing. I'm like,
Exactly.
no, my shit broke.
That is such a...
Yeah.
I've had that a lot.
I feel like drummers
love that.
can mess about with that more often though.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm the one.
Like,
The rest of
I'm
my,
on Tom now.
I will complain to the guitar players in my band, like, yo, you need to make sure your chords work. We can't have none of that shit happen in the middle of the show. And all of my shit's broken. None of my stuff works. I don't know how I even have the right to say any of that.
Think
But I'm
of it
like,
as-
my stuff doesn't make a fucked up noise.
There's
in
no
the middle of the
electricity,
show.
bro.
That's so funny.
I love when drummers have just fucking trash drum sets though. Who's a drummer I'm thinking of
Oh, from MJT?
from MJT? Yeah.
Oh yeah, his
What's
drum
his
set
name?
is not good.
I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry if you're watching, dude. He's such an amazing drummer, but his drum set is trash.
He's amazing.
If I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, he only
Yeah.
has one cymbal,
Oh,
other
yeah.
than his ride. But he only has one crash, and it's just
Oh, and it's all chewed up.
I mean,
chewed
it
up.
is-
It looks like
it doesn't sound like a
megalodon just
crash.
chewed on it or something.
Yeah.
This is to a level that I can't describe.
But and he's
he's
incredible.
This guy's
by the way.
It shouldn't be
it
sounding
is
that good.
trash.
He is
dude.
so mind blowing.
But he makes it sound amazing.
That's extra funny. I'm
It's
mind
so
blowingly
good.
not that good, and my drums are trash, so I just do the double.
But honestly,
that's
that's the thing though, right? That brings up an interesting point, right? So you could be Eddie Van Halen on an
Oh,
$80
yeah.
fucking Squire Strat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it would still sound like Eddie Van Halen.
Yes.
Totally.
You
Yes.
could be that guy from MJT and on a fucking Fisher Price kit, and it's gonna sound fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's so,
So
good.
how much of that? I mean, speaking from someone who has had shit basses and now has a really nice bass, for me, I find when I go back to the shit basses, it's just slightly harder to get it done. There's
Yeah.
more effort has to happen.
Definitely.
It's not as it's like the butter effect.
Yeah.
Less
Like
cream, dude.
Less cream. You
Yeah.
want full. You want full whole milk with a little half and half in there, cream wise.
Dude, I
Yeah.
spent so long playing on broken cymbals that when I play a new cymbal, I'm like, I need to use this a little more so the sound changes a little bit because I don't like fresh cymbal sound all that much.
I
Right.
almost bought cymbal cleaner once, and I was looking at it, and one of the guys in the drum department, I think I was at Sam Ash, came up to me. He goes, you really want that? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, my stuff's pretty dirty. I don't really clean anything. He's like, dude, just clean your, like, chrome on your drums. Like, clean that stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, don't clean your cymbals. I was
It
like,
changes the sound.
I was like, oh, he's like, because they're going to sound new again. And he's like, you're,
Right.
like, used to how your stuff sounds. Like, he's like, you
cool.
don't want to change. He's like, it's going to sound way different.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever dirt or grime or whatever you got going on in
Dude,
your
I love
cymbals,
that.
he's like, that's definitely going to change. And you're going to notice that. Like, whatever it sounds like now has been gradual.
Yeah.
So he's like, you're used to that.
Yeah,
But he's
exactly.
like, you're
It's
going
not
to change that
plant
immediately and hate that.
Right.
Oh, it's
right.
true. It's true. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I don't, because I know that
Yeah.
like that dirt accumulation,
Yeah.
that like actually changes.
For me though,
the
I'm like,
quality of sound.
I'm like, I have the symbol that I have because that's the symbol I bought 7 years ago. I'm not like, I don't even pretend like I'm like, this is the sound I've wanted. Like, I'm just like, that's definitely just the symbol I
That's
have.
a lot of us, like musicians. Like,
to be a gearhead, you kind of have to not be broke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of like
Yeah.
you know, like if you're gonna be into
Or
gear,
not be a stoner. I've had my non-stoner friends make fun of me a little bit. One time I was like, well, dude, I don't have drum cases. It's like a running joke. I'm
Yeah.
like a POS when it comes to that. I just don't have that.
Dude, that's hilarious.
For about a year, I did shout out to my buddy Nick Salerno from Moons, a stoner rock band from the Philly area. But he left his stuff at my house for like a year because they were practicing where we practice. So I used his drum cases for like a year. But that was the only year I ever had drum cases. So I get made fun of for that a lot.
you didn't have drum cases.
I still don't have drum
Well, you
cases.
have them. They just don't
Fit.
fit in our van.
Yeah, they just don't fit in
the
our
trap
setup.
case, though. The trap case is the most important case in the drum
Yeah,
case.
but a lot of my friends
Yeah.
are like, "Yo, I've seen how much weed you smoke.
Yeah.
You could stop for like 3 weeks and buy like 2 sets of drum cases." And I'm like, yeah. Well, that's not as much of a priority.
But weed is air.
You know what's interesting too that I was thinking about is like, so we have a drummer here and we have a singer songwriter,
Yeah, that's cool.
and you're both.
Yes,
It's
yes.
really interesting.
Yeah.
You like that's not often the case. I feel like it's
Right.
less.
I feel like I am a singer songwriter who drums.
That was what I was gonna ask,
I've
yeah.
actually always said that. To
That's
people.
fair. That's fair.
I recently, over the past 2 years, have devoted a lot more time to being a drummer
Right.
because I've started to like become, as a songwriter, very aware of limitations that I don't want to have because I'd want my drummer to be able to do that as a songwriter.
Right.
So like I'm pushing myself harder as a drummer now, but I never really got into drumming because I wanted to play drums.
Yeah, that's
I like kind of like played drums because like we had them. Guitar was way more confusing. to me.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I'm the drummer that like the stereotypical joke I feel like is about. They're like, he drums because he can't really play music. That's kind of too hard for him. So he always drums.
But he writes all these songs.
Well, that's like where it started for me, and then everything was like at my house. Like when I would read about like the Stones when I was younger and stuff. Like Brian Jones, like apparently like didn't really play as much as we lead on. Like he kind of was just like a business leader. So like I always like took that approach like early on,
That's
like
cool.
in being in a band. I was like, all right, cool. Like I could write some songs. I could do like a little bit of everything.
That's cool.
Like, but like I just focused on like creating a band.
Yeah.
Never worried about like how good I was.
That's so
I was
cool.
like, can we play a set? Can we entertain?
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
it. Like
That's so
I love
crucial
it. I
to
love
a
it.
band.
but it's
too.
created so many limitations in my own playing. So like
Right.
there's a tug and a pull to what was good and wrong, good and bad about
Sure.
it. But that like I've always viewed myself like as a songwriter first.
Yeah.
I've never really been like a drummer or guitar player.
Or like I'm a musician.
Or like
Yeah.
I'm a musician. I'm like I just write songs. I really like the idea of songwriting. I
too.
love
Yeah.
I love the aspect of collaborating and working with others. Like with you have the Hunter Root thing and Medusa's Disco. I do the James Daniels band thing a little bit as well.
Yep.
And that is more geared towards like that's like my vision, like that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I get an equal amount, if not more, joy out of like the collaborative effort of like getting in a room with like
Yeah.
musicians way better than me and seeing what I can get out of everybody
Yeah,
and
that's
how,
awesome.
how much we can really create in that space at that time.
Yeah.
Well, and ideas aren't necessarily always constrained by physical limitations.
No.
You know,
Yeah.
like any idea can come from anybody, no matter how good
Yeah.
they are at music.
Yeah.
You
It's
could
so
not
true.
even be able to play an instrument and say, actually, I think it should kind of go
No,
like.
that's a great
Well,
point.
yeah.
Blah, 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 blah,
What
blah.
Yeah,
about
that's
if you
a great
stopped
point.
there and then came in on the three? You know,
Yeah.
That's
I give
valid.
I give drum lessons, and I'm probably teaching some of my students like Another One Bites the Dust, or like the one kid wanted to learn Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus, which I was like, cool. I was never going to learn that. And I was like, oh, this is not even really hard. This is actually super easy. This is the right song to learn right
Nice.
now.
Yeah.
Like
Nice.
there's not. It's just. You know what I mean? They don't
Yeah.
have to do anything.
Yeah.
So like, I probably shouldn't really even be teaching them like regular rock songs. Like most teachers probably wouldn't be like put on headphones and just learn, but that's the only way I learned.
Yeah.
And I was like, you already know all the simple mechanics to play these 25 songs.
Yep.
And you're going to be like, but these are real songs. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, but for me, I'm like, you can sit there and hammer away all those rudiments like all you want, but like a lot of them are going to quit then. Like most of them don't even want to play. All they really want to do is put on headphones and play one effing song.
Yeah.
That's all they want.
Absolutely.
And I've already just jumped into that. Like I know they can't really play it, and then I'll go back and be like, all right, but you see how like when I'm like there's like mechanics there. Like if we work on these, you'll get those and then they seem more eager to work
They
on
see the
mechanics.
link between it.
Yeah. I try to put the link there like right away because that's the
awesome.
only thing that ever drove me.
Right.
Like I didn't come from like band. I didn't have like a snare drum background. I didn't have like a jazz band background like a lot of like my peers do and stuff like that. So like I've always found it very crucial like when I'm teaching someone that I can see that they're not going to get into music unless like they see this right away. 'Cause, like they're into music, they clearly want to do this for a reason.
Yeah.
But if they feel discouraged right away, they'll just give up on music. And I'm like, I sucked like the whole time. I still suck, and people think I'm good. So like you should just like do it.
Yeah.
Like,
Actually, how I started was I had an acoustic guitar, and it didn't have all the strings on it, and I would play one finger, one string, and write songs out. I started just writing songs I was
That's all it takes.
like a 12. You know what I mean?
I am still
and
a
then
full
eventually, you know, you learn more.
Yeah, I am a full blown like campfire level guitar player who like writes songs that end up on records because I'm like, you don't have to be the best guitar player. You have 3 of them in your band.
Hey, I'll tell you what. This is an interesting standpoint because I like developed guitar very hard, and songwriting too. But like now when I dip back into songwriting, a lot of that is just simplifying the guitar. Yeah. Like when I go back to like writing now for me has turned into like everything I pushed away as a teen or like in my early 20s, which was like, oh, I got to be different. I got to be, you know, I can't do 1, 4, 5 songs. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's too normal. But now I'm like, no, dude, I'll write a song that's fucking G, C, and D. Yeah. If it's a fucking great song. You know what I mean?
100%.
So like the campfire chords thing is like, it's almost like even as an like advanced guitarist, I dip back for that.
Yeah. No, I fully understand that.
Yeah.
It's funny how there's like a balance to that too. Like on like my James Daniels band stuff, like I'm gonna try and come out with a record for next year. I don't put like a lot of effort into it, but I plan to come out with a record of a bunch of songs I pretty much wrote like 2 or 3 years ago at this point, and all of it's like 1, 4, 5.
Do you guys have do you have an album out?
For the James Daniels band thing? No. I have like a Facebook page with like a couple videos on it.
Right.
That's about it.
I'm pretty sure I saw them.
But everything I write with that is like kind of like 1, 4, 5. It's like obviously there's some like deviation of that, but like if it's like one minor chord, like it's a 1, 3, 5.
Yeah,
like you know, everything's very simplistic.
Yep.
And you say you're dipping back into that, and like I am like back in like a new writing process where I've kind of been working on some new James Daniels band material, and I like have zero interest in making like a 1, 4, 5 song.
That's
just
so
because
great.
like I spent so much time being like that's all I could do.
Right.
So now like I have a little bit more of like a vocabulary on guitar, and I'm just like I can't stay like in this zone anymore. I need to branch out a little bit.
That's so good.
But it's very funny. It's just very funny to hear you say like the concept.
You know,
I love it.
What I've noticed us doing is like part of what we do is like you say, like dipping back into that. That's really just leaning towards one tradition.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure. Yep.
But the cool thing that I found that we will do is we'll take a tradition. Like we just did a sort of like a take on like a sublime like reggae type thing, and we're
very
like,
reggae.
We're gonna take this tradition and serve the song in that way, in the way we would in that tradition, and like. Songs on like if you look at almost all the ones on the new album, they're all like takes on a style almost. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's like when you sort of say, "Oh, we're gonna do like a '60s type song," it like you can kind of get limited in like in a good way where you're like, "Oh, now we kind of have the rails up and we can do the things that are classic and tasteful in that box," you know?
Yeah.
So doing like a 1, 4, 5 thing, that's like that's a tried and true blues tradition.
Dude, but back in the day when I would like. Well said. But back in the day when I would hear it, like if I'd write something and I would be like, oh, that sounds like CCR or something, or like no, I'll use this one like Town Rat Heathen. Like that song, there was comments about, oh, this sounds like Cage the Elephant. Oh, you've probably seen it all the time. I don't know if you read the comments, but when I was still recording the song while people were commenting on the video, And I was like, oh, I didn't know what to do with the one guitar I was going to put on the side. It ended up being slide guitar. Because people were like, dude, it sounds like Cage the Elephant. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it does.
Yeah, so
I'm going to lean into that shit,
like,
dude. Let's fucking go, dude.
Yeah, no, that's smart.
Yeah, exactly. But, dude, talk to me, 6 years ago, and I would have probably not wanted to do that. Because I was afraid of, like, I need to be different. I can't do anything that's too conventional. Like, I was really on that for some reason.
I think people are so funny with comparisons nowadays, too, like, with that.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, this sounds like Cage the Elephant. And I'm like, I get like where that could come from.
Yeah,
like hearing Town
too.
Rat Heathen.
Totally.
Like, I'm like, I think it's just funny how people relate to it. Like if somebody likes Cage the Elephant, that's what they're going to hear how to.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
If someone likes Tyler Childers, that's what they're going to hear.
That's what they're going to hear.
But and then if like another person is like, well, I just really like Bob Dylan, and he's the next Bob Dylan. I'm like, well, now you're one of the 155,000th next Bob Dylan.
Right,
It's just funny how people like
Bob Dylan, Tom
correlate
Petty,
those
that
things.
was
Like it's like you just become whatever they relate. You.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's so true.
They
We
are
hear that all the
definitely
time.
projected.
Because like
You guys
there's
sound like this band and that band.
Yeah.
It's always different.
Yeah. It's so true.
to connect like what you were saying about Town Rat Heathen and the Cage the Elephant thing
Yeah.
to you saying like is kind of with Medusa's Disco like putting together like a Sublime thing like with this band's thing.
Right.
I'm sure you've noticed this like you're similar to me where like you've written your own music and you kind of have more control over that and then you write with other people and you have to like collaborate.
Yep.
When you're collaborating with like your band, have you guys ever noticed like there's almost this unspoken thing if you get like far enough into a riff, it's like everybody collectively changed to the next part, and then that's when I think that's when that part happens when you're like, well, one guy in the room's going, well, this reminds me of a Sublime thing,
Yeah.
and then the next dude starts going, well, it was actually reminding me of this song, so I started doing this thing.
Yeah.
And like that's the age-old thing. Like John Lennon said, he's like all the best musicians steal. It's like
Exactly.
everybody starts to notice without even speaking about it
Yes.
yet.
Yes.
Like kind of what. Everybody's
What it
they're like,
should be,
oh, John
yes.
started doing like the Hendrixy
Yeah.
thing.
Yes, dude,
Like,
exactly.
or like for us, like we have like some like
No.
dynamic shifts with like our songs. Like John and Gary can both like play guitar very well.
Yeah.
John is the most well-rounded musician in all of Chestnut Grove, which is how he became a piano player. He is like not a keyboard player. Like,
Gotcha.
he didn't grow up
He's just
playing
he
piano.
just
He like
can
didn't
learn.
want to. He can just play.
Yeah, man.
He can play if you are like, we need banjo in this song.
Yeah.
We bought one, and you have 3 weeks. He'd be like, all right,
That's cool.
like.
I got it.
Like,
Respect.
and he most likely would just play right away. Like everything, like I've grown up. He is like my like inspiration to like being. He was my musician.
Hell
I
yeah.
was like the songwriter. I'm like I have a musician. I
Hell
just
yeah.
like write songs and book shows.
Yeah.
Like,
That's awesome.
So like John was always like the musician of Chestnut Grove. But like when we're writing a song, like we will have to. Like very quickly, like you could tell D and I will like hear something happening. It's like if John's like still on guitar, we'll be like, "This is a John's on keys song."
Yeah.
It's just funny how fast you notice those things.
You
I was
do.
curious, like
It
if
goes
you guys
the
like,
direction. Yeah.
if all of you
yeah.
kind of agree or like notice like when you're like kind of in the middle of a jam, you're not even really writing a song.
Yep.
It's like funny how like I don't know if you noticed this, but like we've talked about this at Chestnut Grove. It's like you kind of realize you're writing a song.
Yeah.
Like you realize the difference between like you've jammed 1 billion times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between like jamming and then all of a sudden you're like, we've just reached into
There's
writing
something there.
something.
Yes.
Everybody
Yeah.
in the room noticed it. You started
Yeah.
playing different.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
started focusing on the pocket harder.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that moment is like the most fun part of being in a band.
Totally.
Oh,
Like
100%.
that's
Oh,
and
we love
not
that.
everybody does that.
no.
That's the
I've
thing.
talked to other. That's why I like enjoyed hearing
We
you guys
definitely
talk
do.
about
Yeah,
that
yeah.
because like I haven't.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't
We do
talked to a lot of bands where like they kind of really let like I've toured with other bands where it seems like that's what they're doing, but they're like, nah, Jay Lee comes and writes the songs.
Right,
and they all
right,
kind of
yeah.
put some stuff. Everybody's collaborative, but like
Luckily,
Yeah.
we get both of those. Like, somebody will bring a song that's pretty much there.
Yeah.
Or we'll fucking jam, and then there'll be a riff.
Well, we did that.
yeah, we
And
get
then-
both. Like
Yeah,
for sure. But,
exactly,
Like, I
yeah.
love the ones that are like kind of start from the musical
Me too.
aspect.
Especially
and, like,
with, and I feel like this, you might get this too because you have another project, like a solo project. Like that's why I love the Medusa stuff because, well, it's the collaborative aspect of my life. So when we just come like with off of a riff,
Yeah.
and then we have all this work to do collaboratively afterwards. That's fucking exciting for me.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm jazzed about the riff.
Or like
Yeah.
the other day, you came with like the core of the song, like the riff, like the verse, chorus, and the main riff and the flavor.
Yeah.
And then all how it all makes sense and how where it goes and how it's gonna get there and how it starts and ends and the clever bits.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
just all decided as a team.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it becomes just so even though it's like Hunter wrote the song, but we all end up writing it because it ends up slightly different. Maybe a couple words change. Maybe another riff is added. That happens all the time. Or to loop back to what you were saying though, we had a song on the new album called 2 Ton Bullet where we literally jammed, and the order in which we jammed and all the decisions and stuff, and most of even what he said is how it is.
Yeah.
It's just almost in real time.
Yeah. Oh, I had that riff.
Just what? He had a riff, and I had
it's like ZZ Topish riff.
And
that was you had the chorus.
That was it. We were like, what
That's
if we
so
played
true.
that before that?
We just did we did the old fucking
and Alex was doing the shuffle
riff combination.
We just all showed up with
2
an
ideas.
just
that
2
you're
ideas
working
and
on?
put them together.
Well, and his
both
idea,
in
too.
E.
The Full in the Rain thing. I was kind of playing with that.
Doing a
Yeah.
party
Oh,
shuffle.
that's right.
We were all
Yeah,
like,
the
check
little
out this
flip.
thing I have.
That's right.
We all had a thing, and then it just went in the gumbo that day. And
Yeah.
it became that song.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
crazy.
Yeah, that shit was great, dude. And then dude,
I'm you write it
when we
in
started
DLR.
3-piecing too, when that happened, that started happening even more.
I'm sure.
It was nuts.
I've been playing, when I do James Daniels band stuff, I have no limitations to how it'll work. I've done an 11-piece show one
Whoa,
time.
that's crazy.
I've done 2-piece, just John and I. I just play
That's
guitar,
pretty awesome.
and then John plays guitar, and I sing, and that's it. And then lately, I've been doing it as a 3-piece.
Yeah.
But I've done it as a 4-piece, 5-piece. I've done it with and
guitar, bass, drums.
and I've done it with 2 different drummers.
Nice.
5, 6 different guitar players. I've done it's kind of whatever I can get out of that night.
Yeah, that's
man.
kind of cool, though.
Out of my catalog of music.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then lately I've been playing it as a 3-piece, and I've noticed what
Nice.
you're saying.
Yeah.
It's you kind of with the 5-piece, we're a little more restricted nowadays. Jamming's not as easy as it used to be. We only jam loosely for so long.
Yes.
Just because we're well, yeah, but what are you doing?
When you're adding members,
There's a lot of people here, and I don't know
Exactly.
who you is in the band. I'm not calling any of you out, guys. Just want to let you know.
It's harder to get 5 people on in sync than 3.
Dude, it's so true.
That's just numbers.
As a guitar player, dude, when we went 3-piece, oh my god.
Well, being the only guitar player.
Being the only guitar player is what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
More fun?
Dude, so the freedom.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
freedom.
Yeah.
I get to dictate, so you're playing bass, his bass notes, and then if you're playing the root, I'm dictating major and minor at that point.
Yeah.
That is a lot of power.
Yeah.
I have so much power. It feels so good.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's funny. It goes both ways, though, because there's definitely, you'll play a chord, and depending on where I lay it,
Yeah.
it colors the...
That's true.
Yeah. But no, you're just totally right, though.
Playing
It gives
off of
more
you is
options.
so easy.
It gives more options for both of us.
Yeah, but then he can so a lot of the problem with 2 guitarists and jamming is well, how are we going to get to another riff?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to play the same riff for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But if I'm doing melodies on the guitar, you can dictate the riff.
Yeah, you're right.
The progression.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that
So
makes
then,
sense.
yeah, as a bassist, so then it's so much easier
That
to
does
move
happen,
past
yeah.
it.
Yeah. It's all right, guys, it's
Yeah.
time. We're moving now.
And then-
Alex does that, too.
And then
He's
we're
like,
good
all right,
enough
so-
where
Yeah.
if as soon as I hear a riff that you're you repeat a
Yeah.
few times
Yeah.
because you're you literally I swear you're telling me this is good, I'm
Yeah, yeah.
repeating it,
Yeah, this
and I'm
is- this is where
oh
we're
I
at.
hear it, I do like that, and
Yeah.
and we're good enough that we can pick it up real quick
Yeah.
and we can match the riff in
It
real
would
time.
be harder to do it with
I do the
with
same
more
thing
people.
with them too.
And then we'll match,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then we'll
I-
sync
You
up.
do it, too.
I listen to them.
Yeah,
I listen to
Yeah.
them.
Well,
and
it's
I
all
hear
about us
something.
listening for what the thing is. When we were
But
all
it's
like,
so
oh, that's
easy.
it.
It's so much easier with 3
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so much easier.
Yeah, no, that makes
when
sense.
you're coming from a place of listening and not trying to be the one who's...
Right. You got to be
You
listening.
got to be like, where's the buzz?
Yeah. And when there's only one guy on each instrument, that's the other key thing.
And if neither one of us play in a jam band, quote unquote. But
Yes.
now that I'm thinking about it, though, a lot of the jam bands, I've seen, they'll have 4 members, but it's a guitar player, a piano player.
Yeah.
And, there's not a lot of usually 2 guitar players.
Yeah,
in
Right.
a jam
to
band.
do that.
That's so true.
And if they are, it's they are utility guys. They're I play
Yeah.
keys,
Well,
horn,
there's a-
shaker,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
guitar.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's different. That's a little different. It's okay, well, in the middle of the show, we're gonna play Psycho Killer, and I play the acoustic in the beginning.
Or it's,
Right.
or it's the lead,
Yeah, yeah.
the singer who plays rhythm guitar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Isn't that how Beard Space is?
Is that? I think so.
Zach's the guy ripping.
Yeah,
The guy-
they definitely switch off.
Yeah.
Jeremy does.
Oh, he
too,
can rip, though.
He can rip totally.
Yeah.
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 It's harder to manage, you're right.
Beard Space rides that fine line between probably being coined a jam band, but
Yeah.
probably a prog rock band.
Yeah,
Totally,
there's
totally.
much more writing going on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're,
That's
you're
a
not
fine
wrong
line.
about that.
Those
That's-
guys are
that's a
massive
great point.
Zappa and Genesis
Yeah.
and Yes fans. I don't know them that well, but I've met
Me
them and
either.
hung out with them,
Yeah.
and the first time I've seen any of their musical projects that they're involved in, I was like, I think Pan Song was the first one I actually saw.
Oh, interesting.
Which was interesting.
Because that's such a like side one, not side one, but
it is a side one.
It came later.
It is later.
So much
it is
later.
so much later.
Yeah.
But even that, like I could see like the pure like craftsmanship that went into their music. Like it wasn't just like
jammed.
Here we are to I don't want to call anybody out for any reason, but like there's like it's not like they're like the run of the mill bands at those fests.
Totally,
it's
man.
like you're like okay, like I've heard this lick so many times.
Like
they're a different level.
Norwood's like that
agreed.
too, where it's like jammy in essence, but you can tell there's like changes and like things going on.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is a song that's structured, especially with all the different stuff Wes is doing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
Norwood's like that. Consider the Source is like that. That's
Oh,
why
yeah.
I really dig Consider the Source.
Totally
Jeff Mann is one of the reasons why I'm a better drummer.
Yeah, he's incredible.
They're all so good.
I started working with him like a few years ago, and
nice.
he actually plays percussion on all of our new tracks.
No way.
That's why they sound so good.
Whoa.
It has nothing
dope.
to do with us.
It's all okay.
So yeah, he's kind of like
the last couple have had
yeah.
That's
all
true.
that-
What's
all
the last dancey one?
Can't stand the music.
Yeah, can't stand the music.
The bass kid.
Bumping to the bass
Bumping the Bass Kid.
Kid.
Is that the latest one?
That is the latest one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was funky as
Dude,
fuck.
the
But
last.
Jeff Mann really takes it home on that because like all of my drum structures on these songs are like
Pocket.
very, very much so, and it's
Hardcore.
funny too because like I probably over drummed on all of our early records,
Yeah.
and then like
You're better.
I could play all those tracks way better now. And then on this record, I was like,
simpler.
well, the way we were writing songs, I was like,
kinda
these
what you're
songs
talking
don't
about,
ask
too.
for anything. Like
Yeah.
they're not like the beats I had in mind and the mechanisms I have in mind. I'm like, this song is not asking for a big roll in the middle of it. The
Right.
song
Yeah.
is not asking for my drumming chops to be impressive.
Right.
Like so, like I was like, let's just break all of this down simply, make it very basic and simple. And I, from the beginning, wanted Jeff Mann to do it. Our producer was like, we're going to need a ton of percussion on this. And I was like, I've wanted Jeff Mann from Consider the Source to be involved in what we were doing. Because as a songwriter, I was like, where I'm at, I'm like, my drumming can do all of what I want the basic drumming to do, but everything else I want is like kind of like from a world music perspective.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
I know how to. I think that in my head, I can hear those sounds and stuff, but it's like I had to go find the right person to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I mean, that's
It's like what you're talking about. It's what you've been doing since you started in the game.
Yeah.
Finding the right guys.
It is. It is.
Well, the thing is Consider the Source is a very world music kind of band.
Yeah,
It's
100%.
Literally perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're
So
like
incredible.
every single one of them too. It's
And
like
Norwood
Johnny
and-
Ferreira.
I hope Norwood and them get to pair up at shows because I think they are
Yeah.
like perfect.
a
I mean,
good
I was
call.
talking to Jeff Mann about it yesterday, and it's in the works. So
Nice.
hopefully when this airs, the show will already be booked.
Nice.
So,
I know. I'm playing a show at Norwood. The Cosmic.
oh, you're
Solo.
doing the Cosmic Arts one?
Yeah. Have you ever
Nice.
played there?
I have not.
Mm.
I've not. I live close to there. They opened. I was like upset how late in my career they opened.
Yeah.
I wish they existed.
Right.
Because I live near Pottstown. Like that's not far from
Yeah.
me. A good thing they're doing over there. I'm going to try and come to your show. Then
Right
when
on.
you play there, I'll try and be at that.
Oh, what the fuck is this?
But they opened when we were unable to commit to a show there. Like that's really all it is. Like I'm just like it's not even like a knock. It's just a
Who's,
mistiming. Like it's like not the right location for us anymore in that area.
Yeah.
Like
Who's doing Rivet booking? What's his name?
oh
Frank Phobia.
Frank Phobia. You know Frank?
no, I know the guy who owns it. The guy who owns the Rivet is
Dude,
the
it's
dude from Bloodhound.
You,
You should
should
get up
you
with
should
Frank.
know Frank.
Yeah.
He is
Okay.
such a dude in this who's been booking just Central
He's
PA.
a fan of the music too. Like,
Sweet.
He's like always.
He's
he
a
books our
good
shows
guy
and
to know.
And then he'll be there like rocking out.
Yeah, he's
Pottstown,
awesome.
Pottstown has
Yeah,
been on the
Frank.
up and up. Like for me, seeing that Pottstown is like a place where like out of town bands are showing up at, I'm
Wild.
like wild.
Yeah.
Wild. I'm like nobody went to Pottstown. I'm like the only thing that was in Pottstown was like the Hill School and Montgomery County Community College.
That's so
Was
funny.
there even-
there's
like-
two really cool venues
Was
there.
Two
there
really
even
cool
pot in
venues.
Pottstown back in
Um,
the day?
What's that?
I said, was there even pot in Pottstown back in the day?
Pottstown Brown.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Not to be confused with Narstown Brown.
Okay. Which one was better?
The weed I got.
Oh.
Ah,
The
No,
non
fuck, you know you gotta
Pottstown
fuck with
stuff.
the brown.
that's funny.
The imports.
Daniel's Green.
Well, it's not my weed. Just like I didn't try not to smoke that weed.
Yeah.
Gotta get them imports.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Oh, I remember getting weed back in the day. Like before I knew like what back.
Well, we're all old enough. Does everybody remember like the first time they smoked like weed that we have now?
Oh, yeah.
Like now when we say weed, like
used
it's
to be
always like
called,
that,
like-
but like the shit we have now was special.
They used to call
There
it
was a day where
exotic
it was special.
in
We
my
were like
day.
Headies,
Headies,
or like
exotic,
Beasters.
Nugs.
Does anybody
See,
remember?
Beasters was in
anybody-
between.
No, Beasters was in between.
Does
Right?
anybody remember using the word piff? I heard that
No.
for like
No.
a small minute. It's probably like a Jersey thing. I don't know. But somebody was like, yo, I got the piff, dude. And I was like, these names need to
I was
stop. And now
talking
they're out
about
of control. Now we're smoking like
Because
camel's butt.
well, now
Like-
we know the. I was gonna say, well, and we even
call
know
it
the
nuggets. That was the one.
We even know the
Nuggets
percentages
when it was
now,
good.
though.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we're
Yeah.
doing like 20 to 30%. Imagine what the brickweed we were smoking then was. Like 8%, probably.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, less
yeah.
than 10.
I think the
Easily.
Dude,
I think the
smoking
funny thing
quarter
is
ounce
like
blunts.
they just. I think
Yeah,
it's
'cause
crazy
it's
that it
easy
took
as
us
fuck.
that long to like grow weed that well, though. I'm like, it's just how is it that hard to grow? Like,
Well, no,
we grew
people
other
were doing
vegetables
it.
really good.
Well, because
People
it's
were
not
saying
just
it's
well,
just-
Were they doing it? It
And
just
it-
wasn't here?
it's not just the growing too. A lot of it's the curing process too.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Well, so
I-
like a lot of that brickweed was Mexican brickweed, so you'd be getting it from. It depends on where you get it from. So the first place to become legal was California. So as soon as that happened,
True.
we started getting rid of it. That's literally what it is.
Right.
And then
That
because
makes
all
sense.
the weed from here is not grown here. It's kind
Yeah,
of comes
of
from
course.
the places where weed is legal.
yeah,
Which-
yeah,
of
absolutely.
Yeah, so the black market before was being, was cartel weed. It was just the shit weed.
Yeah, and they
They're
weren't.
like,
They
this is
didn't.
what you- this is
They
what you
didn't
get,
give a fuck
'cause
if
there
it
was
got you
nothing
high.
better.
Yeah.
They were like, you bought it. We don't fucking.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
all you get. It's called that.
They
there
weren't
was.
like trying to have a brand.
They're not like
Like-
hipsters about it.
No,
But you remember?
they were like, is it a sativa? And they're like, sativas give me anxiety. I don't know. Like, and it's like the cartel's like, I don't give a fuck, dude.
You're gonna have to break this off with a chisel.
But I remember
That's
being in New
fantastic.
York. You're talking about like for early weed experiences. So when I was in New York, this is like I don't know, I was like 16, because my dad lived there.
Okay.
So I would go up to visit, and they literally have like in Half Baked where you call the delivery guy comes over. So we would get the delivery guy to come over and get the most ridiculous weed, like Jamaican red or hair or whatever.
Yeah.
And I would bring a little bit back,
Jamaican red hair.
from New
I
York.
feel like that's not a term my dad used. He's like,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
the good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I can picture it.
Well, you bring a little bit back to your people, like, in PA. They're like, what the fuck is that? And be like, Jamaican red hair. Or my dad would come down to visit me and he'd like give me like a bud.
Yeah.
He'd a little bit of-
I remember hearing like diesel. It's fucking diesel.
Yeah, diesel was one.
Right, like
Diesel
one of
was
the
The
one.
first times, I think any time, I feel like that was the first like batch California must have
Yeah.
sent the East Coast.
Right,
they were like,
right.
send them a batch of diesel.
Diesel,
this,
yeah.
this is gonna fuck them up. They're not gonna know what hit them.
They're
The
not ready
East
for
Coast
sour
is gonna be
diesel.
shut down for 3
Yeah.
days. They're gonna be like,
Sour
no
diesel.
deliveries have been made.
Everybody's stoned on the couch. Dude, that's just hilarious.
Well, we had this guy when I first started smoking. I called him Tony, but that wasn't his name. And
That's the most Theo Von thing you've ever seen. We used to have this guy. That wasn't even
That
his
wasn't
name.
even
He
his
was
name.
handicapped.
yeah,
That's all you'd have to add is that he's handicapped.
but it was like early in my smoking life, and he had the best weed. And it was still like mids, but it was like this like high quality mids that was just like right
Beasters.
under.
Beasters.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
he was selling it to us for like $35 an eighth. Pretty
Damn.
pretty cheap.
That was
Yeah.
cheap back then.
For
Yeah.
really good weed. So I'd get
So
like
true.
quarter ounces and just like lace it with all the friends I lived with or
Yeah.
like lived around in the trailer park I lived in.
You're a good friend.
We would just get fucking ripped.
Bro, I had this, I was 16 again, and I had this job at Turkey Hill, which is like the minute market for anybody who's not in this area. And I worked there, and I would steal money from there. Every night, me and my buddy Schultz would go get these, we call them the 55s, because it's 55 an eighth. More expensive than the usual shit. So good. I'd steal the money, so we'd just roll like blunts with it all day. I did that for like 3 months until I got fired for stealing money. Yeah. That's the shit that I think kids do. They're like, I'll never see anything bad will happen from this.
Oh, yeah.
It's going forever.
Hell yeah.
It's just gonna smoke an eighth a day.
Hell yeah.
But that was a banging couple months though. Let me tell you, those 55s.
That's funny.
$55 eights. It's funny. I can picture like the first time like I went with like a group of friends in a car to pick up like good weed for the first time. And I remember when my buddy opened the bag and goes, "Look at this," and I was like, "That looks like a cartoon."
Yeah.
Like I was like, "What?"
Doesn't even look real.
And then you smoke it for the first time, and you're like, "We thought we were doing drugs,
Right?
Yeah.
Like before this."
Yeah.
I'm like, this is crazy.
Like, I'm tripping, bro. Is this mushrooms?
Oh yeah, like the first couple times I like remember that.
It's like you're
It's
getting high
just
for
like
the first time.
Yeah.
it's just funny like to think about it. Like I like know now that like I'm gonna like you already have kids, but like
Yeah.
I like I like smoke with my dad now. So like when I got older, like he was like, "Your weed's crazy," and like I'm gonna get to say that still too.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like
It's
it's
gonna
like
be like
'cause it's
50%
wild.
THC.
Like, yeah, it's already insane, and like all of us like lived through the process of it being like mostly everywhere you went, you hit it.
Yeah.
Mostly everywhere you go
And
now, you don't
illegal.
care at all that it like we don't even live in like a legal state really,
Yeah.
and none of us care.
It's
like
true.
Yeah.
nobody cares
Nobody
anymore.
cares.
People aren't like people like let
Culture.
people know they smoke weed culturally. Like they'll be like, "Do you smoke?" Be like, "I don't smoke cigs." Like
Yeah.
that's like a phrase people say now,
Absolutely.
like
I say-
commonly.
I say it all the
Yeah,
time.
Like
Yeah.
common, yeah, me too.
I say it all the
I just
time,
think
dude.
it's like that would have never happened 20 years ago, like,
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah,
I just think
totally
that's
right.
crazy.
Oh,
And
yeah, that's
to
fucking-
extrapolate on what you said, like so the future generation of like the children, we're gonna be like back in our day, it was legal. It was illegal for anybody to smoke weed.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really weird.
What? And
That's
it's like,
true.
it's
Yeah.
gonna be like
Yeah.
it's gonna be like people in the 40s explaining prohibition.
I've
Yeah.
I've actually had
Yeah.
conversations with like my dad about this and stuff like that too, like how like say you're outside, like obviously you should not like smoke in your kid's face, like because you shouldn't smoke like cigarettes
Yeah.
and stuff
Smoke-
like that around kids
Smoke
or
is
children
bad.
or
Yeah,
anything.
absolutely.
But I've had the conversation about like being like, what about like social smoking like outside at a picnic? I'm like, you're at a family picnic. I'm like, what? How long is it going to take for that to
Right.
be like fully normal? Like, I'm sure it's certain family things it's fully normalized.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Pens
like
are.
it's
Pens
like
are.
you're outside smoking a pen. Like pens are very normalized.
normalized.
It's
It's
like
true.
It
Yeah.
definitely-
yeah, well, it's
Damn,
because people
yeah.
don't know whether it's like happening.
don't
So
know.
that's
Right,
like step
right.
one.
That is,
and then I
yeah.
think like outside of very hippie type culture things that you're
Yeah.
involved in, like I think it's slowly going to be normal to be
Yeah.
like, I'm going to step over, but like obviously a step away.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
not everybody
yeah.
smokes. Like,
Yeah.
I still think that's like the nice way to
Yeah.
do it.
Well, it's better to be courteous.
Yeah.
It's better to be
So, like,
courteous.
I'm
considerate.
not like suggesting anybody just start smoking around everybody. or anything like
At
that.
the,
But like,
the Thanksgiving table.
well, there's a
yeah,
cultural
but like I
shift
just
around
think
it.
there's a cultural shift around it where like
Yeah.
it'll be more like stepping outside for a cigarette,
Yeah.
and I wonder when it will fully reach that level.
Totally.
Like be like it's like okay, like back in like the
20
early
years?
cigarette days,
Not
it's
that
like
long
before
ago.
the 90s
10?
when everybody could smoke everywhere.
5.
Will it reach a level where it's like now everybody's annoying about it and smoking everywhere?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
they'll
yeah.
start making different
Well,
rules.
look at
about it.
Colorado. It'll be exactly how it is there, everywhere.
Okay,
That's
I've
pretty
never
much
been
it.
to Colorado,
Yeah.
so like
I
I
mean,
don't.
people smoke there. Nobody gives really a shit.
Yeah.
You're allowed to have
Yeah.
a small amount on you.
The-
You're allowed to grow a couple plants if you, want.
You know what was really weird is the first time I went to Colorado after it was legal, I went to a dispensary and got weed and went to a hotel. And in the hotel, you were allowed to smoke cigarettes in the hotel, but you couldn't smoke weed. So,
Wow.
That's
like-
so dumb.
So I would have
That's
to,
illogical.
So
That's
I had-
policy, probably.
I had to go out to smoke weed outside, but everybody was smoking cigarettes inside.
Weird.
And it's like, for me, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
should be totally backwards.
It's the opposite. Like,
Totally.
I'll smoke weed inside.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like to be inside. I don't want to do it outside.
yeah.
I mean, isn't this like?
But cigarettes,
smoke.
I'll smoke outside.
It's different smoke.
I'll smoke weed everywhere.
Doesn't it
For the
linger,
record,
though?
I've smoked weed like it was legal for 10 years.
Yeah.
Like I don't
Yeah.
even notice.
The cigarettes linger more.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they
Taste-wise.
wouldn't like. I mean, we've
They
always.
definitely
does
do.
depend.
If I were
It
if I were
stinks.
like a
It
landlord,
depends,
if I were
too.
like a landlord of like a property
Smokers
or something
smoke
like
more
that,
cigarettes than weed.
I would only care. Like I'd be like, don't smoke, no smoking at all. Like that would be the rules, just so
Yeah,
like nobody
yeah.
pushes it.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
if I like as a landlord knew like a tenant was smoking weed in there,
Yeah.
wouldn't give a crap.
Exactly.
Literally gives
Like,
a shit.
I-
The
and,
rule would
like-
still be no
and, like,
smoking.
if you
but
smoked a
I
cig
agree.
in my apartment, I'd be like, okay, you painting and cleaning.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah.
not doing all like that
Yeah.
stuff sucks. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah,
disgusting.
yeah,
yeah.
But like I don't think weed smoke's really doing that. Like I
No,
guess if
no.
you're doing it every day, which
Well,
like
no,
most
I
of
mean,
us do, but
you can look around this house, and you know you've met my roommate.
yeah,
the amount of actual like he's basically Chong in real
yeah,
life.
yeah.
And yeah, so Not that bad.
Yeah, no, it is like it doesn't linger like other
pretty
things.
pearly,
So
yeah.
I just don't understand that.
That's
It's
pretty
like
awful.
old school thought processes. Like my wife's a nurse, and she works with like people of many different ages. Like she's like some of them are 10 years younger than me because they just got out of school, and then some of them are 20 years older than me. So like she's like the nurses that are 20 years older than me, like they know like pot's like kind of legal now, but like they still just think it's a narcotic. Like they don't get it.
Yeah.
Like she's like they're not like even against it, but they're just like, wait, like you would smoke and go do something? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like they're just like they like never smoked, so like they have no recollection of it, and they only know what they've been told.
Yeah.
So you can't even like be mad at them for it
Yeah.
either,
Yeah,
almost,
yeah.
because they're like, it was a drug for so long. They were telling you it's heroin,
Right,
Like,
right, yeah.
So like it's like, how are you
Fair
supposed
enough.
to trick all of them
Yeah.
out of that?
Right.
Yeah.
So
No,
it's-
you give
it's
them a
true.
Jimi Hendrix record.
Yeah.
like
It's
smoke
really-
once.
Yeah.
I always think that's funny
Smoke
too.
one
Like
time,
people that
and
think
put on the
weed's a
doors.
drug, I'm like, you must have had just one really crap experience because like I don't know how that happened
We're
because
like
it's awesome.
horrible parents and no older brother.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is too is as you look at like, I mean, alcohol is way more impairing
Way more.
in terms of. That's why I
Without
don't like.
question.
That's why I don't like alcohol. Is
Yeah.
because weed is less impairing. It's
Well,
like
I have almost
people
no,
think it's.
I
Super
have
impairing.
no friends or loved ones that are like, I'm quitting weed, and when they do not tell anybody. So like that's the biggest difference to me. It's like it's not a thing. It's
Yeah.
like either
Or
smoke
there's-
weed or you don't
or
smoke
there's
weed.
not people who
Drinking
like-
is like
Yeah.
devastating
Yeah.
once it reaches past the level of not caring.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's like you either don't care about drinking or now everybody cares.
Yeah.
Everybody cares
Yeah,
you're drinking.
But nobody cares about weed.
Nobody's like,
Yeah.
Alex, you've been smoking too much weed.
Yeah.
We're worried about you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
They'd be like, Alex, you haven't come out of your house in 2 months.
Do you ever
because
suck
you've been
dick for
smoking
coke?
You'd be like, Alex, you haven't been smoking enough
Suck
weed.
dick for weed?
half baked.
Yeah. And it's like right over here.
You just watch it.
No, oh, it's up there.
Apparently they're making a second one.
Yeah, I heard that.
Oh,
I heard that. Yeah, like
Yeah, I
with
heard
everybody.
that.
Yeah.
I'm about it.
Yeah.
One of the
I love Chappelle right now.
one of the guys
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
in it,
Chappelle's
I
great.
forget
He's on
which
fire.
I
He's-
forget
Yeah.
which guy it was, but one of the guys that was in it was I listened to Sports Talk Radio and he was on as a guest, like repping his like show that he was doing in Philly.
Nice.
Sick.
And he's like one of the guys from the movie. I missed his name, so I didn't catch who it was. I just heard him talking about it. And in it, they were like, "So, are you in like the next Half Baked movie?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's being filmed." Like he's like, "I am a part of it." They were like, "Do you know the name yet? Can you leak anything?" He goes, "They haven't named it." He's like, "I don't know yet."
Damn.
Like so, like, but I heard
That's
him
so
talking
dope.
about it, so I'm like, I guess it's real. Like
Wow.
I don't know.
I wonder if it was
Half-Baked
Jim
2,
Brewer.
Judgment Day.
It probably was Jim Brewer, but like
Probably
I
was.
wasn't able to
He's been on
confirm
the
that
press
because
lately.
I just was only listening to him talk. So I was like,
Yeah.
it's not Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that much.
Yeah.
Well, all right. It's
Yeah.
about that time. We started around 1. So
Sweet.
we're going to call it. We usually do about a 45 here. But it's
Sweet.
been a pleasure.
Oh, hell
the time
yeah.
flies by.
Oh well, thanks for
yeah.
having me, Van Brain.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good
James
time, good
Daniels
time.
here of Chestnut Grove and James Daniels Band.
Is there anything else you want to say or pitch?
Yeah. And the floor is yours, as they say.
Yeah, what
Is
is
it like
that?
Hot Ones?
Yeah, like how I.
Chestnut Grove starts doing shows again June 23rd. We'll be at Rob and Beth Fest. That's like in the Pocono region. So that's a PA show. That's like our next local thing. And then you can catch us like in upstate New York for the rest of July.
Nice.
Very cool.
That's pretty much all I got to plug, I think.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chestnut Grove. Okay.
Thanks.
Chestnut
Thanks so
Grove.
much, James.
Thanks,
for being here.
guys.
Yep. We'll
Peace
catch
out,
you next
y'all.
time on
Thank you,
Band.
guys.
Memory!
You got someone else.
You gotta do it.
I got to take a picture.
Gotta do it.